This morning our first presenter is from a sponsor company of the event, by the way, which is Siemens PLM Software. I would like to introduce Robert Hidajat, who will be talking about leveraging the power of social collaboration in your enterprise PLM strategy. So, Robert, welcome.
All right, good morning, everybody. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. If you guys can figure out a way to raise your hand, maybe just raise your hand and let me know if you can hear me. This is a whole brand new format for me, so trying to get used to this as well. But it is actually pretty cool. So. All right, good. I see a few people raise their hands. Great. All right, so let's get started here. So good morning again, as Darius mentioned. My name is Robert Hidajat. I'm a marketing manager with Siemens PLM Software, and I kind of put my picture up here not because I want everybody to see what I look like, but just so you guys know that I'm nowhere near as skinny or as cool looking as my avatar. All right. Okay, so today what I want to talk a little bit about is this kind of social collaboration space, and also PLM and how we can bridge the gap between the two. So let's start the first slide here real quick. All right. I think social has recently become kind of a new buzzwords, right? It's like the new kid on the block, right? The cool kid that just moved in that everybody wants to hang around with. Especially kind of started by social media, right? Twitter and Facebook, and those guys, which to me the term social is any kind of interaction between two or more people, which every kind of software or every kind of activity involving more than one person is considered social. But since the social media craze recently, it seems like everybody wants to get on board and trying to make themselves sounds cooler than by just adding the word social. So if you Google the word social or a social collaboration, I'm sure you get millions and millions of results. It's almost becoming a term that's kind of saturated and almost have not so much meaning anymore. So I just want to make sure before we get started, I'll talk a little bit about kind of my definition of what I mean by social collaboration, so we're all on the same page. Yep. Just like Darius mentioned here, if you try to Google social PLM or social collaboration, I'm sure you get tons of results, and maybe a lot of them not quite exactly what you're looking for. So. All right, so for me, in terms of social collaboration, my definition is if you look at one of the most social animal out there is the penguins, because you always see them if you look at them in movies and stuff, always in huge groups. But what you don't see is that groups are being formed and being dissolved as in an ad hoc manner very quickly in a social collaboration environment, just like these penguins, right? So if they feel like going fishing, they'll ask a few of their friends to come and go swim and go fishing, and then when they're done, they can disband their group and start a different group to do different tasks. So everything is very fluid, very unstructured, right? Team being formed and being dissolved very quickly. So that's what I mean by social collaboration when I talk about social collaboration. It's really like an ad hoc collaboration platform where people can come into one place and get together very quickly, just like when you meet at a bar, right, and put together, starting to get together in a group and meet some friends. And start to have conversations, and when you're done, then you left and you start different groups maybe the next day, right? So as I think quite a few, I don't know if you guys have a chance to attend some of the other presentations, so quite a few of the other presentations kind of talk about a similar topic at the beginning where the term social and kind of social activity, and if you look at PLM, it's almost completely different, almost like there is a gap, right? So if I look at PLM, an animal that kind of represents PLM somewhat is the bee, right? I don't know if any of you guys are Star Trek fans. I was thinking about showing a picture of the Borg, but I'm not sure how how that will go with copyrights and all that stuff. So I found this picture of a bee, and I thought that's appropriate. So with a bee, everything is very structured, right? So everybody have different roles and have very specified and defined roles, and you can't really change roles that easily, right? Everything is very structured, everything is very rigid. And if you're talking about security, right, so if you Google killer bees, right, uh, you, you can see what they can do if you try to disturb them, right? They can chase you for miles and miles away and bring down animals as big as a horse, and they can send out an attack, with over 50,000 swarm of bees in just a matter of minutes. So security is very tight. Everything is very rigid. Everything is very defined, right, within a PLM environment, which is very different than a social collaboration environment where, well, things are a lot more fluid. And as you guys know, really there is kind of a gap between these two, right? So, and the rest of my presentation here, I want to talk a little bit about kind of how we can bridge this gap and why we want to bridge this gap. So I'm calling from California right now. I actually just moved to California about 3 months ago, but for 20 years before that, I live in Iowa. So this is what bridges looks like in Iowa. I don't know if you guys have seen bridges of Madison County. So a lot of covered bridges, very beautiful. If you ever had a chance to visit Iowa, really something to see, and something to visit. So why do you want to bridge the gap, right, between these two? Right. On a social collaboration space, we see that as an easy way for you to bring on board and kind of get everybody in the enterprise and even your partner and your extended enterprise together, right? On the PLM side are people who have predefined roles. Everything have a kind of structured role. So why do we want to bridge the gap? I have a couple examples here. All right. So one is that I'm sure all of you know, working in an enterprise, you have really great, smart, and brilliant people in your company, and sometimes even partners, and even in the extended enterprise. And in a very structured environment, sometimes people who have brilliant ideas, sometimes they're kind of buried buried under the noise, and they didn't stand up. So even though they have brilliant ideas, sometimes those ideas never get to the right person. So it's never taken into account, right? So you have great people. That's why you want the social collaboration environment to bring all these people together and kind of get their ideas and kind of leverage those social capital and those ideas that these people in your company and also in your partners have, right? Because sometimes there are sparks of genius out there that if you don't pay attention to it, or it doesn't become visible enough, then nobody knows. But in a social environment, in a social collaboration environment where it's typically your skill and your knowledge can stand out a little bit more, it's a good environment for you to to try to harvest and look for some of these ideas. All right. So another reason, as shown here, is that even though you have a very structured PLM environment, sometimes if you put garbage in, of course you'll get garbage out, right? So you'll have there are companies that have a PLM environment that tries to control every single thing, and you ended up having a system that is so buried in a lot of maybe ad hoc data that's not supposed to belong there in the first place. And it's very hard for people to manage. Things gets very slow, and really a lot of garbage data that's in there, right? So that's something that we don't want, and that's something that a social collaboration space can potentially help you, where you can have all this kind of ad hoc projects happening, people having kind of side discussion about certain things, and looking at maybe potential issues, for example. And once they have a chance to kind of discuss it among themselves, right, they can bring people from different teams. It doesn't have to be someone who's approved, to work on it. If you know somebody who might be uh, subject matter expert on certain areas, then you can quickly bring them into a social collaboration environment and look into the problem and see if it's an actual problem that's worth raising as an issue or raising as an actual issue in a PLM environment. So this way you don't end up with a PLM environment that's filled with a lot of garbage, right? With a lot of ad hoc information that's not supposed to be there, right? And in the ad hoc collaboration space, you still have some capability for you to control that data, to kind of keep track of it, but only the important ones, only the real issues that belongs in a PLM environment with, well, if you have a bridge between these two environments, those are the items that you can actually bring in and populate your PLM environment with. I'm not sure. I know not quite a few of you guys are from outside the U.S. I don't know if there are similar shows, TV shows, in other parts of the country. Like in the U.S. here, we have a show called Hoarders, which is really it's a very interesting show, but it's basically showing a group of people who likes to collect things, and sometimes they collect things that makes it a little bit harder for people who live in their house to even do anything, because they fill their house with so much junk that they can't really do anything else. So, so it's a good show. You might be able to look it up in Hulu or some of this just to see what it looks like. All right, so a little bit. So that's kind of a background, right? So what I want to talk about in this session is I really want to kind of give you guys some ideas on how you can bridge this gap, right? So I'm going to go through a few use cases, and what I'm going to show is kind of some use cases and what you can do using our solution, our Siemens PLM solutions. But the whole idea for this presentation is to kind of spark an idea for yourself to look at the PLM solution that you are using today, or if you are still evaluating a PLM solution or a social collaboration platform, maybe these are some use cases that you can think about when you're trying to select a solution or look into a solution. Try to see if some of these use cases may fit your needs, and maybe something that you can take into consideration. All right. So one quick way to bridge the gap here between social collaboration and PLM is really kind of using very simple kind of enabling ad hoc conversations just within anybody in your team, and also any guests that are needed, people outside your enterprise, and doing so while still maintaining a form of security. You're not sending emailing files around or sending files around. Everything still remains securely within your environment, and you can do something as simple as desktop sharing, right? So a lot of companies are in this space, like WebEx, even live meeting, and and it's a very simple way for you to start conversations, different social conversations, and it's a very easy way for you to bring groups of people together, sharing and looking at different issues, right? So make sure when you're looking at this kind of solutions, you look at things like guest access, right? Enabling guests to come into your environment without you having to purchase a license for them, right? And something else that you can look into is maybe a form of licensing where you're paying per user per internal user versus paying per meeting, because you can have as many meetings as you want, and if you're metered and kind of having to pay per meeting, sometimes that can end up being quite a bit. So all right, so with a simple desktop sharing solution, you can very quickly bridge the gap and kind of start a lot of ad hoc conversations within your enterprise and also with people outside your enterprise. So the next use case I want to talk about is just a simple supplier collaboration. I think when people are looking at bridging the gap between social collaboration and PLM, this is one of the use cases that probably quite a few of you guys are thinking about, because you have a very rigid PLM system and you really don't want to bring your supplier, kind of create an account for them to get access to your PLM system, right? Especially for a lot of external suppliers that you work with, maybe on a per project basis, right? So some suppliers you may only work for on a project for a few months, and then managing that user access into your PLM environment, it can be pretty difficult. Okay, so a lot of companies out there are using things like Microsoft SharePoint, for example, for social collaboration. It's one of the leader out there in enterprise level social collaboration. So what I'm showing as an example here is how you can integrate between those solution, right, like a SharePoint and a PLM environment, to make it easy for someone on as a liaison on the PLM side, someone internally, to be able to publish some content from within your PLM environment into a social collaboration space where you can invite different people to come and review those contents, right? So you have limited exposure as far as security. You can still manage user access and kind of track everybody who can access to this data in that social collaboration space. But the nice thing with the social collaboration space like SharePoint is that very easily you can create guest accounts, and very easily you can remove those guest accounts, right? It doesn't require a lot of approvals or processes or kind of red tapes to get that going. So what do you want to do after you get that data checked out? So of course you want to be able to do some collaboration, kind of social collaboration on that PLM data. In this example here, we're just showing, again, the data that has been exported from a PLM system into a collaboration space, where you can do something very simple as, selecting the part and say, I like it. That means I want to get updated every time somebody touches this data or somebody make any changes to this data. You can start things like discussion threads and comments, and just an easy way for you to interact with each other and kind of talk about the different items that you want to discuss. All right, another thing you can look at is like an activity streams, right? So at the kind of bottom right hand side here is really an activity stream. So so all the items that you select as items that you like, items that you are interested in, at any time you can come in and kind of see, okay, what has been done to it, what kind of progress or comments people are putting in, and you can quickly collaborate that way. Okay, but then more importantly, after you're done with your social collaboration, kind of you're done reviewing some of this content, suppliers, for example, if you give them a bid package, right, for them to review, then if they want to respond to it and they want to put in their bid packages, then very quickly we can review it, and if necessary, then we can promote some of those content that are generated in this social collaboration in this ad hoc environment back into the structured, back into the PLM environment. So a lot of PLM vendors out there enable kind of more of a one-way collaboration where you can publish data from their PLM systems so that people can look at it in a collaboration environment. But another thing that you may want to look at is how the other way, right, how the other direction of collaboration is enabled, right? Can you then promote some data created in the collaboration space and move it back into the PLM environment? Of course, through internal liaison, an engineering liaison, somebody who is within your company who has specific rights to be able to promote those data. All right, so that's a quick few slides on supplier collaboration. The next use case I want to talk about, this is actually the last one I want to talk about this morning here, is design review, right? So another thing that you want to be able to do, typically thinking about having an ad hoc collaboration, is in a design review. Because potentially when you go through a kind of an ad hoc design review, right, you can come up with a lot of things that looks like issues, but once you look at it a little bit further, you may decide that it's not really an issue, or maybe it's just a miscommunication, and it may not be worth alerting everybody or starting a whole process of people looking at these issues before you actually have a chance to just bring a few people together who might know a little bit about this issue and kind of looking at it and identifying it, whether it's a real issue or not. So very similar here in a design review environment. You want to be able to maybe look at an assembly inside a PLM environment, and we want to be able to check that out into a social collaboration space where other designers or maybe other stakeholders, other subject matter experts can come in and take a look at it. Right, so they can do some investigations, they can do, different things, taking snapshots, taking a cross-section, taking some measurements, and once you identify some potential issues, you want to be able to quickly communicate that to other people who might know a little bit more about this issue, right? So you want to be able to quickly create in that social collaboration environment things like again, a potential issues in a list, and a ad hoc collaboration list that everybody can review. Everybody can click on a single link and look at the same issue in the same environment with the same data, right? That data, could be coming from a PLM environment, right, being checked out from a PLM environment, so you still have all that user requirements to be able to access to it, that user control. But for people who want to collaborate, they need an easy way for them, for everybody to look at the same issue. Once you have a chance to review it a little bit more, and you identify that it is an actual issue that's worth raising into the formal process, then you want to look at a solution that gives you a way for for you to then promote that issue and submit that back into a formal change process in the PLM environment. All right. Okay, so once that issue is promoted, then someone on the PLM side can then take that issue that has been submitted as a problem report now, and you can take that and promote it and send it through your typical structured change process, right? A change notification process for people to look at it. And again, people who are back in the ad hoc collaboration space, they can still come back and monitor kind of the problem status and the problem resolution of that problem that they identified earlier. Right, so the linkage between that social collaboration space and the PLM environment is there, and it's happening in real time. So if somebody who submitted that issue in the first place, they want to see whether that issue has been resolved, they can come back into their collaboration space and take a look at those issues. right? Okay, just in quick summary, right? So we look at kind of a few ideas on bridging the gap between the social collaboration space and PLM. One is just by enabling simple ad hoc conversations, right? Web meetings, application sharings. One is enabling things like supplier collaboration, which I'm sure a lot of you have been thinking about. And another one is just enabling ad hoc design reviews very easily so that you can look at potentially issues earlier and kind of determine which issues are really worth raising as a problem report in a PLM environment. This goes back to the whole idea of kind of minimizing the number of garbage inside your PLM environment. I'm sure a lot of you guys have different ideas, right, on how we can bridge this gap. And this is just something I want to kind of get you guys to start thinking about, kind of different aspects of this. But if you have any ideas, I'm really would love to hear them, and you know, something that you know, would love to chat a little bit more with you guys about. So in summary, I think it's bridging the gap between the social collaboration environment and a PLM environment. It's important. It's something that you should look into, and a lot of the previous speakers have identified this as well. Because again, there's quite a few benefits that you can gain from it, and it's a lot of the solutions today are starting to enable these capabilities, and it's something that you should. Right. If you enable a good bridge between the two, then of course you'll have faster innovation, because you can start harvesting your social capital and leveraging some of the ideas that your smart people have in your company, and everybody will be happy. I really appreciate you inviting us to this event. This is something brand new experience for us, and it's actually pretty nice. I'm just we can get used to this.
Wonderful. It was a pleasure having you both on the exhibit hall and here.